So today we are looking at SBCs. We've got a few to go through now because we're starting to wrap up into team of the season. You want to be most definitely being more cautious with what you are actually spending. So if you're looking for coins, check in the description for Eldorado. Depending on the coin amount that you're looking for, the delivery time is displayed on the website and you'll see lots of different trusted sellers with reviews on specifics and also the ability to be able to pick who you want. It will also show how much they have in stock, and obviously you can see that they are verified members. There is 100% refund ability and also 24/7 support if you need any questions with your coin needs. Also, if you head over to Trustpilot as well, you can see over 30,000 upvotes for them. You can see how reliable they are. Obviously great feedback across the entire board with Eldorado. So when on checkout, make sure you are using the code JT11 for 5% off your order every time. Discount code JT11. Now let's get back to the video. So when it comes to cards, who should you be doing? Now icons are the perfect place to start because obviously with them, there is a considerable amount and they are the most costly at the moment. So if we go over to the icon section, we have got probably about what, like 15 or so? You got 3, 6, 9, 12 and 15, bang on. So obviously Perlo's going in 3 hours, so really for him he's kind of in there as he's done. But naturally we'll kind of put him in as what we should, but realistically you'd have probably finished him already if you wanted him done. Torres has got 2 days. 1 day for Schweinsteiger, who seems to have been here for absolutely ages. We have then 5 days for Kluivert, 2 weeks for Hullet, and then as we go 2 weeks, 3 weeks for everybody else. 1 month for obviously Essien, 1 month for obviously Hullet, and I think everybody else is the same. Henry's there for 2 months because obviously he is, I believe, over the month. Is he? Oh, when does he finish actually? I could be wrong before I start saying stuff. So he's got until the 4th of June. Is that right? Well, it's got to be right because it can't be the 6th of... Oh, no, release date. Where's the expiry date? Okay, 6th... Oh, no, so he does actually have 2 months. So, fair enough in general. So, he's got a lot of days to grind him out. That kind of makes him even better, to be honest. So, already I'm kind of seeing a difference with these icons then. Because naturally, when we look at Perlo, I think he was okay value. I think Torres definitely went up into that okay value, maybe even to decent value with the fact of the strike force. Now, we got that with a few of these SBCs because if you do cast your minds back a couple of weeks, we did get this evolution that I think should be here still. What was it before this? No, it can't have been before Diego's drill. Could have been. It might have finished by now, to be honest. But I thought it would have been here. Enter stage left, puppeteer, bomb forward. It might have actually expired, which is a shame. That would mean, for me, it would drop down again. So we did get, obviously, an evolution. If we go to someone like Torres, for instance, we can obviously see that he was available in there, even as a 90. I think it was Torres that was available. But basically, if you go to Evolution Builder, Suarez was another big one. But yeah, it has expired. Wow, I thought that was there for a little bit longer. But obviously, that made the SBC a lot more desirable, to be honest. I think now it's gone. I think you would drop down a little bit more if you haven't done it, which obviously you wouldn't have done if that was the case as such. Obviously, Schweinsteiger, I think, was okay. Kluivert, I'd be missing out on now. I'd personally be missing out on Bergkamp as well. I've seen him in a couple of teams and he just... For me personally, he may be, as an Arsenal past and present, fantastic. That's kind of not what this tier is about because you could say the same for everybody. Obviously, Torres is a Liverpool past and present, a Chelsea one, Schweinsteiger with Bayern, Perlo with Serie A in general. There's so many options you can go with there. But when I look at them, I'm thinking, not really just yet. Then we've obviously got Hullet. I think if you, in fact, don't complete so here, I would say Hullet for me would be a future Evo with this 90. I think he's decent value for what you're getting. Obviously, 760 isn't terrible for an icon nowadays. Same with Maldini to some extent, but I think Maldini's kind of in there for the right now. Hullet is definitely needing some sort of Evo at some point. You can get away with centre-backs and be okay with it, but with a kind of midfielder, I need him to have that little bit more to give. And obviously with Hullet, he will get a future Evo very, very soon, especially when we are into them 90s. Which then leaves us with a bit of Ashley Cole, who's obviously coming in at a whopping 460. I would personally go with that as a miss now. I'd possibly go okay value for everybody else. I think personally for me, I would go and don't complete. Again, it's down to personal preference, but with all the left backs that we've got, just even going for a gold Teo Hernandez, or even any of the left backs that we've got, failing any of all this, say you don't have any of them, holding out just to get to like level, 30 to get Capdevia is going to be way cheaper in my opinion than doing anything else. It just is what it is for it. Essien coming in at 840. I still stand by him. I still think that is a nice card. 840 is a little bit more of a price at the moment, but this has been out for quite some time. I think it's a great CDM. I really do. It may not be the perfect CDM, but he definitely offers a solid amount. You've got obviously the playstyle pluses there. Yes, I think the main aspect comes to the play styles. Relentless, press proven, anticipate power shot aren't the greatest in terms of as many as he can kind of had, but he's got the roles, he's obviously got the stats. It's down to some of the playstyles that maybe could be sorted in the future, but in terms of what he brings to the table in general, I think he's a good card in my opinion. Then we've got all the new icons. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I've just zoomed to the wrong page. You've obviously got the likes of Hullet already, so you've got the 94. I don't think there's any question, to be honest, with that one. I would say he's a must complete every day of the week. As much as he is 3.88 mil, very, very expensive. When do you get the chance of it to get a brand new Hullet as an SBC? Yes, you get the 90. I was expecting to be able to get the 93 before getting the major upgrade for him. I think that for me is just... It's a hard one to swallow because obviously it's very expensive. I am sympathetic that not everybody's going to be able to do that with the fodder they've got in their club or even being able to grind that much. I think if you started from scratch when that SBC came out and you did every game mode from rivals, champs, squad battles, maybe throw in there, objectives and all of your daily SBCs, I think you could have got that done with a good rank. I think you could have done that from scratch, but... I do think you would have definitely needed a little bit of a kind of stockpile prior, because it's not necessarily the amount, because 23 SBCs, we've done worse, like we've done so much worse, but the amount of 90s and 91s at this point in the game is actually very difficult to get, especially 90s and 91s and above. Like you can get 89s, you can get 88s, but to get every single 90 and 91 from gold to then special cards, it's really not that easy, especially when Dream Chasers, a lot of them weren't that easy to pack. If we had FUT Birthday or kind of packs to do, it was great if you was opening promo packs. Of course you could get them, but realistically, if you're not doing that, it was very tough to get them, to be honest. But I do think still he is 100% a must complete in my eyes. I've got him finished now, and he is outrageously good. The midfield has never looked better with him, to be honest. Without him? I don't know. Either way, he's incredible. Then we've obviously got Gerd Muller. I think it's fantastic value. Same as Lahm, to be honest. Lahm at 165. The chance of an upgrade at some point. The variation of positions from left back, right back, and CDM is absolutely fantastic in my books. Obviously, Gerd Muller's coming in with a triple shooting playstyle plus. May not be the one that you want to go for right now, but what I would suggest, if you are looking at him as a potential... well, to be honest, it depends on where you're looking at it, because more than likely he'll get a footies at something. But if we do get to the quadruple playstyle pluses, before he gets an upgrade again, you could see him with a quick step rapid, as well as them free playstyle plus on shooting. It could be quite an interesting card. Just put that in your note that maybe, just maybe, it could be an upgrade that you'd worth be doing. Now, the rest of the icons, obviously Beckenbauer, Nedved, and Henry. Now, we'll get rid of the first two. Obviously, Beckenbauer's coming in a little bit cheaper than his kind of bigger card. He's got a 93, and then he does have a 96 coming in at 2.3. Obviously, both of them can play CDM, centre-back, and also centre-mid, but the SBC version is coming in more of a CDM than the centre-back is. And obviously the centre-backs, to be fair to him, having a free overall but only freeze across the boards on upgrades is absolutely crazy that they're not got more. Obviously, if you do zoom out a little bit, we'll be able to see the comparison. Obviously, the composure, the dribbling is going to be the easiest one to see if it's really worth it. Agility balance is a lot similar in both different versions, which is always nice to know. And to be honest, I really thought he was taller. 5'11 is a great height for a CDM, so whether you'd want to go for him in the CDM or keep him as a centre-back, I'd possibly push him forward. I think the value of a brand new card, let alone a new icon into the game, is fantastic that they've brought him out as a cheaper version as well. Obviously, then we look at Nedved. Again, I like that they've gone for the better version because, to be honest, the 89 is absolute woeful. The fact that he's the same rating as his other card, I'm just, no, absolutely no. At least make him a 90. I'm assuming they made a mistake there and didn't realize that he wasn't an 89 or something, because you shouldn't be having two different versions of the same card, even if he is a cam. He's absolutely awful. Whereas the 94, cheap at 350, which is good. 5.5, fantastic. Decent stats. I'd have liked to have seen the shooting over 90, but then he's got the Trivela, the power shot, and the pinged pass. It's not awful. I think it's an okay card. For me, as an icon, I'd go okay value. I don't think it'd be too crazy for him, especially if we figure out what we've got on that left wing, because the man that is already on this screen right now, Henry, can play both positions and is exceptional at both. Now, if you've used his 95... or any of the versions of Henry, to be honest, you know this card is completely fixed compared to previous FIFAs that we've had, with the balance and agility absolutely shot. The 95 is outrageously good, and it kind of just shows from where the cost of everybody is. Obviously, you've got the likes of R9 still extinct, but he's coming in at 7.5. Bale's dropped the million as well. The fact that he's still like 5 million above does suggest how good this card is. Now, obviously, he has had a little bit of a plummet. I think that was always going to be the way forward. But to be fair, he come in at 9.5. He's only dropped down, what, 2 million? 2 million pretty much. That isn't terrible for when you think about how quickly cards drop in this market now. We've got Mbappe, who I believe is considerably lower. We've got him coming in at 365. He's still a fantastic striker. Henry is just an absolute born legend on this game as well. And the 92 is going to be great for a potential upgrade in the future. I'm talking during Team of the Season. But a wonderful card to get on your left wing or your striking role right this second. Now, the only thing is, if you are doing a Hullet, if you are doing or completed a CR7, then you're doing an Henry, you've just finished Yaya Toure, there's a lot of million SBCs going around at the moment. I get that you can't finish them all. So when I put must complete on someone like this, it means that if you can finish them all, absolutely do. If you can't, it isn't a big deal. As long as you get a couple of them done, these are the SBCs that you'd very much miss out on, and it would be a little bit of a shame, to be honest. We then have some of the players. Obviously, the likes of CR7 is going very, very soon. So if you are watching this video past, well, we've got 3 hours left. If you're watching it past 6 o'clock, unfortunately, CR7 has disappeared right now. I still think he was absolutely must complete. Now, obviously, there is no time. If you're watching this video and you've not started him, the likely chance of you being able to finish 21 SBCs before 6 p.m. and have that all in your club without buying is probably virtually impossible, genuinely. Others that are going, Havertz is disappearing as well, to be honest. I'd possibly say that's kind of a good riddance now. I think he's kind of just been absolutely overwhelmed with the likes of Hullet, with Beckenbauer, with Lahm, who can go into that CDM, let alone everybody else that was still available. Unfortunately, he has kind of dropped into that habit of the kind of FOMO of a Havertz. He's a very good card, and I think the centre mid would still be in my kind of okay value, but the striker most definitely is a little bit lackluster in comparison. We have got pretty much most of the player of the months now. We've obviously got the Bundesliga, we've obviously got the Ligue 1, I believe we've got the female Liga F, and I want to say, have we got the Serie A? Obviously Salah's coming in at 658, so can't really put him too much in fodder. You've got a few of the road to the finals as well. Madison coming in here, that's not really worth talking about. Even Bruno, to be fair. Bruno's going to be great for me as a future Evo, but as of right now, he is just going to be fodder. There's a lot of them. We've obviously got a few of the other players. I would say with any of the road to the finals, I can't really say fodder just yet, because naturally they are got to be upgraded first. There's no point putting her into an SBC now and then she becomes a 95. They win the Champions League, the UEFA Champions League for the women, and she's a 95, but you put her in an SBC. It seems a little bit of a waste, in my opinion, anyway. So most of them would go into the fodder aspect, in my personal opinion. There is a few, obviously, that are coming in as the road to the knockouts or dream chasers that are just, they're there. Chesney, I think, is an absolute must complete. If you've seen him and Oblak together, if you're looking for a keeper, you kind of pick one or the other. They are absolutely fantastic. Chesney has been one of the ones that I've seen more in-game. I've used him as kind of my keeper at the moment. I'm not a massive fan that I don't have the rush out. That personally is something I'm trying to go against, but I must admit that's kind of where you've kind of got Oblak as well. It's got obviously the far reach and the deflector. It's still decent enough. It's a nice upgrade, obviously going for a special keeper, but Courtois is still fantastic in between the sticks, in my opinion, anyway. Obviously, then we did say Bruno would go in. Isco's obviously another one that would go in there. We then have the Liga Ref Player of the Month that's just not really doing too much. I'd say Sergio Roberto could be more of a future Evo if you are looking for that flashback, that moment sort of vibe, in my opinion. We did then get Asensio coming in at 69. Again, Dream Chasers. It's not terrible. He's a good card, and naturally we are running out of players because we are starting on the icons and heroes during the Immortals promo, because next promo is going to be the team of the season, so hence why we're probably going to run out of a lot of these players, and hence why they've actually given them such a long run. They kind of knew that the next 2 weeks is going to be no players. It's just going to be heroes and icons, so they kind of prepped in there. Now, any of the road to the finals, to be honest, as much as I don't think they're necessarily a playing career, like when we look at the likes of Upamecano, I think they are worth the punt. I don't know if I'd put them into must complete or if I put them into decent value, because I think you should be completing as many of them as possible because it gives you that spread. Obviously, if you're only doing a few, pick the teams that you think could win. Bayern Munich, obviously Real Madrid, potentially Arsenal. I could see Dortmund winning, but realistically, it's going to be a long shot in comparison to the rest. But if you can get as many of these done as possible, I would suggest them. They are worth a looking at the minimum. We kind of see a few more. Obviously, Salah right now, I personally wouldn't complete, especially with the brand new Evo that we got for the 90, for the 89 and 90. It kind of made him just as good as this 92, to be honest. So I would personally leave him alone in all honesty. We then obviously have some of the FUT birthdays that are coming in. I think value-wise, they're pretty sound in comparison to what they were. Adeyemi at 403, 1.8 for Yaya Toure. Still an incredible midfield, but now you're arguing between, do you do him and Beckenbauer, Hullet and Beckenbauer, do you go and throw Lahm in there as well? There's going to be some definite friction there. I do think if you add Hullet and Yaya together, that is a pretty decent partnership, to say the least. I would say Yaya Toure would come into that sort of level of must complete. Maddison would be into the fodder. To be honest, I'd probably go as far to say as kind of like your future, and Scott would go into fodder. But I think at the moment, they're okay. Like, I'd go future okay. Scott as a right back just isn't really it, in my opinion. And to be honest, neither was Tevez. As I kind of like him in front of goal, but I just don't think he's worth the 300k that you're paying, especially nowadays with all of the SBCs that we've got and then coming in the future. I just don't see him worth it anymore. We then obviously have Dembele as well, one of the big SBCs that did come out during the Dream Chasers. I really like him personally, and like I said during the review of Henry, the level of players now that we've got from an SBC point of view, just in this last month alone, obviously a Szczesny and net, you've got the midfield of Yaya and Hullet, you've got Henry, Dembele, CR7 up front. Defending wise, you've obviously got Upamecano, you've got a Ben White right back or Vasquez, you've got Garcia going as the centre back, let alone any of the icons, Lahm going in there, Maldini going in there. You've then got left backs, I think that is the only one other than Ashley Cole that could throw in. You've got almost a solid full 11 just off SBCs, and not even just a full 11, a very solid full 11 as well, some that would rival some of the best players that we've got. So it's always interesting to see who deserves to be in there at this point. We then obviously have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at 84. I think it's great value for the actual hero aspect. I think in terms of what he's going to produce, his output isn't going to be crazy. I think Marquez would definitely output that little bit more, in my opinion. Then we've obviously got Correa. This year he's just not been the same for me. I'd probably go more into the 92 fodder, especially if you're going to put him against Henry and CR7. Even then, going Henry left wing, Dembele right wing. The price difference is massive, obviously, but he's still got to compete with them. Who would I suggest you do? It isn't going to be Correa over Ronaldo. Now, obviously, if you said, who could I do for 100k? Then there's your man, to be honest. Angelino coming in. Solid card, dream chaser for the UEFA. Left back wise, I'd probably give him an okay. I think he could be more fodder, especially if you've got the likes of Teo. But if I'm kind of judging that you're asking me who should be left back in these, I think Angelino is cheap enough to say decent at least. Gabriel, to be honest, I think he's great value for him. 150k, obviously goes in against Saliba. We are getting a lot of Evos for centre-backs at the moment, so whether you take that with a kind of a pinch of salt, really, because you've got to think, well, I can't just stop in case there's an Evo. There's bound to be one at some point anyway. You've obviously then got Gyökeres. I'd probably miss him out this time. I think he's going to get a better card. I think fodder at 72,000 for a 92. I personally think there's going to be a better version of him. And very soon, let alone maybe even in the team of the season, which it could be the first week, could be the third week. He's going to have such a better card. I wouldn't even waste a 72 for a card to go into an Evo. I think he'd be absolutely fodder options, in my opinion, anyway. McManaman, I think, is a right mid. Wasn't terrible. He's not my favourite, but he's not terrible. I think potentially you could even go fodder. I think his winter wildcard's just better. The right back worked so much better in my opinion. Which then kind of leads us with the road to the final pick. Again, like the rest of them, it's not necessarily do they go into your team, but at the minimum, you've got to know who's going to be the better option to kind of go with, and then hopefully get a victory out of them. And then obviously Asensio comes in at 70. Trivela in technical for me is just not going to be the one, unfortunately. I'd have him out as fodder, to be honest. If he was a road to the final, I could get behind it, but being a dream chaser, he's not going up anywhere. So that is going to be the list of SBCs. Like I said, it's only going to be icons and heroes this week, and also next week, then we are getting into team of the season, which is going to be fantastic. So let me know who you're completing currently. If you need any more help, leave it in the comments and I will try and get back to you as soon as possible. But apart from that, subscribe, like, and I'll catch you all for 6 p.m. Peace.